the public meetings.
Yes.
You can't tell anybody about that.
I'm not saying that anyone's not prohibited. That's not what I mean by any means. I'm just saying I think it's for those that aren't aware of against the laws, and I guess that's your own ignorance. That's fine. I do feel as though, as a council and as people that represent us as a community, I've been a part of this community for the last 12 years, almost 12 years now. I never once went to a council meeting. Not to say that I didn't know the council meetings were there. I'm just saying it was never publicized as much as it is now that I know about. I feel as though if you make it more known and show that everyone is welcome to come, people won't be so, I guess, nervous to come about. Because the community obviously is changing. When I moved here 11, 12 years ago, I was one of the few black families that I knew about, and I lived in the village. Now you see African Americans, you see Indians, people of all creeds here in all sexual orientations. I don't see anyone else representing other than Caucasians and two African Americans here. And I'm not saying that it's due to you guys at all. I just feel as though it should be more so publicized. And I believe her idea to open it up and for people to be able to complain, or people from different backgrounds should not feel as though they are shunned just because of that. So if it's being public, then I feel as though it should be.
But our point is, it should have been discussed in a committee meeting as well.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I was politically correct or not about the way it was done.
Well, it's the way it is. We don't hand somebody to hear a previous, we'll discuss it.
I just said how it was done in the department.
That's all.
Whatever we had to do.
Can I ask people to speak up because I can't hear you back here? Thank you. Can we go into roll call? Here.
Here.
Mr. Petty.
Here.
Ms. Foley.
Here.
Mr. McCoy.
Here.
Ms. Rafter.
Here.
Mrs. French.
Here.
Mayor Pro.
Here.
Going to move on to our public participation, but before we do that, I'd just like to cover the guidelines. Since last month's meetings were quite disruptive, I just feel we need to go over the guidelines that we have set in our resolution. We adopted a resolution setting forth this compliance with state statute and setting up a simple procedure for public comment. 1, any citizen is entitled to speak for 3 minutes. 2, those wishing to speak are asked to sign in before the meeting starts. 3, the speakers will not engage in debate among themselves or with council members. 4, the public comment is a time for public comment. It's not a question and answer period. If you do have a question that is personal or relating to employment or any of the employees of the borough, you need to discuss it privately. When the public comment period ends, the meeting will begin, and if there is an order, we will have to have you escorted out of the meeting. So with that said, Ms. Cindy Deaver from 1813 Cricket Lane. Cindy Deaver, could you stand, please?
Sure. I'm on the board of the Folcroft Public Library, and we had a recent issue, actually it's been an ongoing issue with the ladies of the library, 5 of them not being paid minimum wage. It has apparently been addressed, and I only say apparently because we were told it was going to be addressed last month and it was not. I received an email from Mrs. Ropsky stating that it was going to be taken care of this month, I believe, which is all well and good, and I'm very appreciative of the fact that it finally is being taken care of. However, one of the points that I need to raise, and I know that there is nothing that can be done about it at this point because it's obviously too late. My mother has worked at that library for 5 years, and since 2007, the minimum wage was raised from $5.85 an hour to $6.15. These 5 ladies in the library are making $5.89 an hour today. I just did some quick figures, and my mother was cheated out of between $1,500 and $2,000 at the minimum. Probably more than that, because she worked a lot of extra hours that I'm not even taking that into account. It's very upsetting to me that these 5 ladies have not gotten that money, and all of them are good hard workers, and every single one of them is retired. I would like at some point to have someone give me an explanation as to why it is that this was allowed to go on as long as it did. I went to Nick McRowley's office and I explained to them what was going on. They told me that they would contact the Department of Labor and Industry. They're not going to mention anybody's name. They're not going to mention the borough. All they're going to do is check to make sure that there isn't some loophole about librarians that they would be allowed to be paid less than minimum wage. They didn't believe that that was the case. They're going to let me know, and they're going to call the borough to find out what the status is on that. And the other issue that I want to bring up and find out about is that these ladies who have not been paid minimum wage, they've received 2% raises, which brought them up to $5.89 an hour, 2% raises over the last couple of years. My question is that when it finally is adjusted, will that 2% raise that, I'm not exactly sure how much it is, be on top of the minimum wage that they should have been getting all along? Is that how that is going to work? So that is the question that I have.
Can I just say something I think this is something, you have so many concerns in dealing with the library. We have a library committee. We're gonna have a special library committee to go over all your concerns, because there's legitimate concerns there,
Which
especially.
will be next week.
So-
That's fine.
I mean, I think it's good if we get everybody in the room that's on that committee, and we start coming up with some solutions to fix it.
Okay, I know that there are fixes in place, and I understand that, and I appreciate the fact that, you know, it's finally being taken care of. But, and this is very hard for me to say because I'm a staunch Republican, but I am actually embarrassed and ashamed that it took the Democrats coming into office to fix this for them. I'm really upset, and it just is amazing to me that this was just let go. They didn't matter. The reasons.
Put in the budget in November.
This has been going
Yeah,
on
it's been going on
for 5
It's
years.
been going on longer than that. When I would have questions, so we'll take this up in committee. I talked to Savannah about it.
Okay.
Next on the list is Melinda Zarambo.
I live at 55 Folcroft Avenue, and the house that is right next door to me has had furniture for the past few weeks piled up. How do I get that issue taken care of? It doesn't belong to me, it belongs to them. And this house has been a nuisance since I even moved into my home.
What is the address?
53 Folcroft Avenue. Last year, their house was condemned until they got it back up to code. They now have it back up to code, but now they're starting to pile up things behind the house. Right now, it's a sofa and a love seat.
It's behind, in the
Behind-
driveway
In the
area?
driveway, right in front of the garage door. And it's been there for the past few weeks.
I will give this address to Mr. Papaleo, the code enforcer, to go over and speak with them and tell them that they need to get rid of it.
Okay, thank you.
John DeFuria.
There's a lot of flyers going around town. And personally, I don't really think they're helping at all. Like, you guys are up here, 11 people. You guys all like get along and try and help Folcroft. Like, all right, be calm. videotapes it, you know, this is wrong. I don't care, and whatever you guys can see. This is wrong. He's not an elected official, he's nothing. He's a resident, I'm showing everybody. That's just wrong. That's just wrong.
I ain't worried
I
about
don't know.
it. I'm actually honored.
Where all was it?
His neighborhood.
Think how
It's
the
not.
land was stored.
Hold on.
Excuse me, Mr. DeFuria has the floor, thank you.
We don't need this in our town.
It's
Well,
the first I'm seeing you, Mr. DeFuria.
That's a guy who just comes and puts on YouTube for people who can't make the meeting to see. Now, I'm not saying it's Republican, I'm not saying Democrat, I'm not saying whoever put it's a coward, first of all, because he writes his address on everything he wants. But this is just wrong. Like, you guys should be up here trying to help Folcroft. I'm not trying to bring someone down who comes to a meeting.
This is the first time, have any of you seen this flyer?
I've seen other flyers from the other side that don't have names on them either, that
And I'm
are
talking about
pretty
that
mean.
too.
So I mean, I
I'm
think
talking- I just said
that
Folcroft.
either
I
way
ain't had
is not
those
right.
flyers.
Now, wait a minute, you just said the other side, so that letter's coming from,
That's
on your
what,
side?
that's what he's trying to imply.
I'm not trying to lie, I just,
Well, that's,
I just said.
I just read it, I've never seen that, but I've seen it two sides in her hands, and it has Republican written at the top, so that's what I'm assuming. I haven't read the whole thing.
Mr. Davis was King Avenue, the new Folcroft Republican leader. I never said it came from Republican or Democrat. I said, I don't know if it came, I said, I saw it. I never said you guys did it. I never said you guys did it. I went down the table and I showed it to everybody. But I know you guys probably didn't see it. There was another flyer. I didn't read it. But that's not gonna help, bro.
It's not,
What you need is, you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to get on the same page. Some people will say people aren't using their minds. I've heard her talk about politics. I know what she got. I sat there, watched football with her. She knows politics. I'm a Republican. I know Christine for a very long time. Good person. Bother me. Enough said for long. That's all I'm saying. Bother me. Brotherhood forever. You guys got to start getting on the same page. Bob, Marianne, Michelle, Jason, Lauren, Sue, Christine, aren't. Forget all this hoopla and arguing because it's getting ridiculous. Because since January, nothing's been accomplished. You guys can keep it because you guys probably want it back.
Thank you, Mr. DeFuria. Sheila Foglio, 970 Taylor Drive.
It came to our attention last meeting that you did not know about a letter that was circulated about the Democrats winning, but your name was signed to it. So here's the letter. And I would like to know where it says in state law that somebody's got to have their 3 minutes in the beginning of a meeting when everybody should have a right to say what they want. Everybody pays taxes. And if there's something that comes up in the middle of the meeting, we're supposed to keep our mouth shut. So I would like to know where it states that we have to have 3 minutes in the beginning. I'd like to know if we can have an end. So do you have a copy of where that's in the, whatever, the state, the beginning, the end?
I have it on the back here, probably.
Whose law is this then?
Most boroughs have the same exact, just like.
But this is what I don't understand. If you bring something up that we have a gripe against, we're to keep our mouth shut because we already had our 3 minutes in the beginning of the meeting. So really, you're telling people, okay, well, if you don't like something that we say, after your 3 minutes, you're
No,
done.
that's not what that's just to keep people from talking for a half hour at a time, so that we're not all here.
So if I had something to say in the middle of the meeting, you're going to listen to me.
No, that we have, that's why there's a time for public.
Well, I
comment.
think your public comment should be at the end of the meeting. And I'm going to say, there's a lot of people here that if they're going to...
Public comment in the beginning of the meeting wouldn't be a problem if the agendas were correct and had all new business on them. So then this way we could make our comments. But agendas have not been what they should have been. Nothing has been on there, and that's why you have problems you're having.
And I do
No
have,
new business was on the agenda for last week, but yet there was a lot of new business last week. So how are we supposed to comment on it when you never had it on the agenda? And that's our concern. All of a sudden, a brand new agenda is written, and there's nothing on there that you had prior at this committee meeting said you were gonna vote on. And you didn't even put on the agenda what was the new business. And we're not supposed to be able to comment on it? But you discussed new business last week, or at the last meeting. And you know I'm right. And that's why you had any comments afterwards, because you haven't presented it. I know it's not my turn, but it is the same issue.
and another thing, I would like to know why the borough needs 2 full-time secretaries. When we had a borough manager who did almost all their jobs. Everybody's got an agenda now, everybody has a job. I would like to know why. You have 2 full-time secretaries, and your one borough manager doesn't even do half of what our other borough manager did. I think you'd be saving money there.
Trees, Creighton?
I want to thank personally Officer White for doing everything he has done in the village area with this school, again, because he personally has been stepping above and beyond, I feel, for even the kids on our street and everything. And I know last month when we were here, you had told us that we would have an answer as far as you should have an answer for us as far as the speed bumps.
We're not doing speed bumps, we are however going to do the stop signs.
The stop signs? That's not going to
That's not
work.
gonna
But they're just going to blow right through them stop signs.
There's no way you could put speed
Because the
bumps down
sign
there,
up
because
there?
when we go to plow, it's just gonna rip the plows up. There's no way you can put speed bumps down there.
But I thought they were going to be the raised ones, you said.
The only thing we can do that would be cost efficient for the borough is to put the stop signs at Bennington, W.
So is there
and
going to be
Park.
an officer there when the stop signs go up in the beginning to kind of get a ticket? Because if that's the case, it's at the point to even put the stop signs up. Because that sign that's up, some people have slowed down, read it, but then went right through it, right through the end. So, I mean, even the sign, the aggressive driving sign, it has really not done much. And a stop sign is not going to do anything at all. Yeah.
Comment real quick.
Sheila Claravia,
I don't think, that's okay, I already did my,
taken care of.
yeah, you're care of it.
Ann Dolphin,
That's Anna.
Anna Dolphin from 1938 Carter Road.
Speeding will not stop when it comes to the stop signs, just so you know that. But my concern is 1940 Carter. I wanted to know what the status was with it, because I too have been dealing with a problem house for the last 3 years, and now we're 2 weeks away from spring. So that means I'm gonna have, I'm on a house next spring. So I want to know what's going on. They haven't come out and cleaned it out. They secured it, so I thank you for that. But
They haven't
now
come
we're
to
2 weeks
clean it
away
out.
from spring, and we still have a house that's been sitting there unoccupied with food in every single room. So, over a year now. I just want to know what is going on.
I will have Mr. Santarelli contact the bank once again and file a complaint against them.
So this is not going to happen.
Our hands are tied because it's in the hands of the bank, as far as I know. I mean, Mr. Santarelli is not even here for me to address. If you want to come next week and personally ask him, he can give you an up-to-date that he has with the bank. The last conversation I had, I was under the impression things were being taken care of. At the last council meeting, nothing was said about it. I figured everything was still being taken care of, but you're telling me it's not.
No.
Okay.
I'll say something real quick. See, that's, addressing to her point, just for his point is, something was brought up about stop signs, and we're almost done public participation, and myself and all the others who spoke now can't comment on it. Stop signs are not gonna work. I'm telling you that right now. I've lived here for 23 years.
These people.
You go up Bennington. No one comes down Bennington. And if they do, obviously that's a problem. Wait, you use signs that say 25 speed limit, you know, so you can see that it says speed limit 25. Because
There's no speed limit signs on Carter?
No, there's
No,
not.
there's not.
I have.
And the other thing is, my husband had asked the police,
Strictly enforced.
and my husband had said, because of the fact that we did not have a lot of snow this year, that money for the snow removal, could we put it on good use to save the children of the township? And
I understand that, but the engineer is telling us that we can't put speed bumps in.
Dartmouth Township
so
has
when, what's
signs.
gonna happen, well, what's gonna happen, I just asked, when the car does speed down and they blow the stop sign and it gets hit, and there's no officer there to watch the stop sign, because we only have 2 officers.
I understand there's a problem, and we're working to fix it. I will get, Mr. Penny will contact Dan to see if you have any
Speed limit signs,
speed limit signs of 25.
25 miles an hour.
But what is that
If you
going
want the
to
speed
do?
limit lower, that's
You
fine.
keep saying these signs.
It doesn't matter if it's lowered, it's not gonna
The
be.
people are blowing signs. We're trying to tell you that.
But the speed bumps are a problem is that the vehicles are gonna go down the road, especially the buses are going.
Buses don't
because
go
of the
down
speed
the
bump,
road.
they will break springs. Plus the
But then the
fact,
people should understand that they should be
I
on
realize
the
that,
street.
I do realize that.
And on Carter, there is no, second buses or buses that go down.
But my understanding is, I thought there were speed limit signs there, you're telling me there's none now on that
Not
street
that I
there?
know of, I've never seen one now.
What was the speed limit you wanted here to have?
It wouldn't matter, because they're still gonna fly anyway.
If we put the speed limit low and put the stop signs there, okay, you're telling me there's no speed limit
I
sign?
can't guarantee, but I drive down there every day,
Okay.
and I don't see
I
it.
will talk
Not
to Dan,
from Taylor
and we
to
will
where we're at.
find out what the speed limit, what should be on that street. I know it shouldn't be 45 miles an hour.
It's not, I know it's supposed to be 25, but
25.
even go 25, they don't
I
go
will talk to
25.
Dan.
And if you yell at somebody to slow down, they're ready to fight. They're ready to fight. They're ready to take it down.
All right.
And in today's world, I won't put it past if you yell at somebody, they're flying a gun out.
I was under
The
the
way today
impression there
is-
was speed limit signs there and it was just going 45 anyway. You know?
Even if there is speeding, I can't guarantee, like I said, I can't guarantee that there is or there isn't. But even if they are doing 45, 50 down the street.
I will make
And
sure.
right
I'll make
now,
sure
the
we get
last
speed
week,
bumps
has been
on.
nice weather, these kids are loaded on the street. Loaded.
And they're teenagers that are speeding. And Sheila was trying to say that with the stop signs, they have, like, if you roll through the stop sign, it's $109.50, but it's strictly enforced. I mean, that could be an option if you're talking about the signs.
Yeah, but there's no cops there to, we can't have a cop there, cops have other things to
But you know, I have a thought, and I'm not on the list to speak, so I apologize in advance. But what's wrong with those little cameras in the sky, and then you get the culprits? Wouldn't the fines you collect in the long run more than pay for those little eyes in the sky like they do in Center City to fight?
In Center City right now, they're actually taking them back out. Because they actually, in Center City, they're not sustainable by the fines they get. And
Okay.
they cause more problems and worse. So you're gonna actually start seeing, possibly, hasn't been voted on yet, but you're gonna see those go away possibly.
Well,
So that's just something that they tried in the city and it just didn't work. So I think we should kind of wait to see how that plays out, because if it's something that didn't work there, we might want to watch. And they put it in, you know, Ron Morgan, high traffic areas, where I don't think on a small street like that, you could ever, you know, recap the amount of money it would cost for the equipment.
I understand that, but there's gotta be a more viable solution than just putting stop signs up.
Yeah.
I have my own complaints for my street where I live, but I'm not on the list, so I'll address it at another meeting. But we have to put our heads together, other than complaining about, there's stop signs, there's, you know, what becomes right? Is a speed bump and a snowplow more important than the life of the children that are in that? So, you know, because the plow can't go there, what's more important? Let's make a good solution where you got enough.
I do have a suggestion.
Speed
Can't do a
bumps line
speed
up
bump,
really
can we
good.
do
Because
rumble
the cars are gonna
strips?
slide off.
It slows it down a little bit,
That's a good idea.
and it won't interfere with the plow. Can we bring that back to the engineers?
One other thing to add with that, here's a perfect example. Today,
Excuse me, I cannot hear, thank you.
today, all the kids were out in the street, where's cars were flying down the street. Kids got out early to school today because of the SSAs. Folcroft Police Department had something more important to deal with than worrying about sitting on Edwards or Delview to make sure that the cars weren't flying. Okay? So they took care of the more important thing, which was a drug bust. And, which I don't blame them, I want these drug dealers out of Folcroft. But at the same time, you know, we can't have the cops everywhere at one time, especially when we only have 2 cops. And the cops that we have are doing a wonderful job. So, you know, everywhere, you know, we can't have them everywhere because, you know, every part of Folcroft needs them. So, you know, if we can't have them everywhere, and there's only 2, we either have to get another police officer or 2, or we need to do something to slow these speeders down, besides doing a stop sign everywhere.
I'll be addressing that in
Carmen Hay?
Yes. I know you said personal business would be private, but I want to remind you that you did fire me at a meeting. And I did come up, which it wasn't on the agenda the day before, the week before, it was not on the agenda. So I do have one question. If you intend on firing someone at the next meeting, is it going to be on this agenda? Yes or no? It's a yes or no question.
Don't plan on firing.
Okay, that's good. Good to know. Second thing is, I called and asked for Cliff to return my phone call on a vacation pay that I deserve, that you put in from last year, and you get it this year, your vacation. I have not received a phone call or payment in my account for my vacation. Is that going to go through? Yes or no?
I don't know.
You don't know that one.
This is
Okay.
the first I'm hearing of it.
Next,
Carmen, when did you call?
all week.
You leave messages?
Joe, was I in to see you? Yes or no? Okay.
And what did Mr. Pacini tell you?
That Cliff or Ray would call me.
No. You asked me, you're gonna get your pay retroactive.
And you said you would have to ask Cliff or Ray.
First, you said the retroactive, I thought you were entitled to that, it's up to council for that. Your vacation, I said with the solicitor to check with that, that's coming from council. I didn't say anybody's gonna call you or anything like that. That's all.
What has to come from the council?
I don't, it's not my decision whether you get paid. It's
So
council-
whose decision is it?
Council's decision.
And is it their decision to fire me as well?
I believe so, it's not mine.
Okay, so when are you gonna hire an inspector? Who hires them? Is it Cliff or is it council that we voted in?
Council voted in Mr. Papaleo last meeting.
I'm talking about the health inspector. We still didn't have one of them yet. That's being
That's being addressed in
And who hires them?
council.
Okay.
All 7 of you or all 4 of you?
Okay, and third question is, 7 years it took me to make $13 an hour, and he was hired at $13 an hour and not 11 where I was hired.
We based it on the ordinance.
What ordinance?
The ordinance that was passed in December
for,
for code enforcer.
so they started 13 now?
It was based on the ordinance that was passed by council in December.
Okay. And when are you gonna stop harassing the fire marshal?
Because there was a fire over the weekend.
And if we didn't have a fire marshal, and when are you gonna take him out of the computer?
There was a
You
fire.
locked him out of